So today, Worldwide Entertainment TV has a six-time Emmy Award winning artist that is multi-talented in different fields in entertainment. And he's going to tell us about his journey and the world of music and entertainment. Could you tell us how you started your journey, Steph Carse?
Well, actually, I started in Canada, and we recorded country music. That's how I started, and I'm talking about the '90s now.
Yeah,
And I'm doing a lot of my albums were half French and half English. So, but that's how I started in Quebec. We got to sell a lot of albums in Canada,
yeah,
which led me to a Juno, which if you're in Toronto, you know what the Junos are.
yes. I just
So,
heard a Juno artist. Juno,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's the Canadian version of the Grammys, so that was really
All
cool to
right.
be there. But I moved in Nashville in '97, and after selling a lot of albums, I was very green when I started, so I wasn't the one making all the money.
Yeah,
I was the one working all the time, but I wasn't because the only thing I cared about, was to sing, and so. It was it's an interesting school. Let's just put it this way. But when I went to Nashville, I had nothing. I mean,
yeah.
I lived with my car and my guitar, and I lived in my car. I was working with high profile artists, but then I would go back to my car, shower at the YMCA, and eat at the Dollar
Oh,
Menu at Wendy's. So that was my journey in a way
yeah.
before it started.
So you started, you've seen it from ground level and at
Yeah,
the
I've been on every side of the roller coaster ride.
yeah. So tell us about some of your accolades on the way. Because I know it said you began in the early 90s.
Yeah, I started in '93.
93.
So we did a few platinum albums in Canada, and then in '97 when I moved to Nashville, I got involved with a fellow Canadian artist that was actually a publisher that lived in Nashville. His girls were born in Nashville, so he was originally from Cornwall,
Yeah.
Ontario, and then moved to Nashville. And so he was producing an album for the Special Olympics in '98. So he wanted me to be part of it, and they had some high profile artists like Donna Summer was part of it. The Kevin, the Bacon brothers, which is Kevin Bacon,
Yeah.
and Alan Jackson and Leanne Rhymes. So we got a huge artist in the country field.
Yeah.
And plus Donna Summer, right? Donna Summer was the first record I bought when I was a kid. So, so to be involved with these people, that's what that's kind of what geared my career a little differently. And it was an album to benefit the Special Olympics in Canada and also Tennessee, and so it allowed me to get started, in the
Yeah.
U.S. because the album did well and generated over 2 million for the Special Olympics in net profit. So that was a cool thing, because when I was a kid, our home was a foster home for mentally challenged kids. So it was
Yeah.
kind of like a full circle for me to be involved in something like that.
Okay. So what happened in 1997? Because I seen on your bio, you said you were doing your thing and then 97, 98 came and then you had a turning point in your life.
Well, what happened at the spiritual level? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those were I call the hungry years, and is where you go to school.
Yeah.
And I was brought up in a church. Really, we were Baptist when I was a kid. I accepted Christ at the age of 6, but um, I always fought the church in a way because it was such a to me again. I can only speak for me in
Yeah.
my experience in where I went to church. It was a very I would say religious spirited, where you have to earn things to do things, right? So
Yeah.
it was not the way I understood. it better today, which is a relationship that Christ sent. It came so we can have a relationship, not a religion.
Yeah.
And so those hungry years in 97, 98, living in my car those time, I certainly asked a lot of good questions to the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's helped me develop a relationship and understanding more. And really, quite frankly, it's a never-ending process, because once we understand that we are in Christ, that means that we're no longer the head. And so what we do has to be dictated by him if we want to be,
Yeah.
remain under his protection and his presence and provision. And I think that's a lifelong battle. It's like you have to die to self on a daily basis. And I always think that for me, I consider myself in the past as a slow learner. So because I think a lot of times, when things go bad, it's easier to connect with God. But then when things go good,
Yeah.
that you have a tendency to want to grab things in your hands again. And I've certainly made that mistake over and over again. That's why I mentioned earlier, I felt like my life was a roller coaster,
Yeah.
on every aspect of the word. But as you mature in your walk with Christ, you understand that the submission is the only true relationship you can have with Him. If you're not the head, then why you try to make and manipulate all these things and try to do all these things? So if we understand that we're here for a purpose, you see, I fought the church at first because I wanted to sing, and being growing up in a religious environment, it was perceived as unless you sing for the Lord, it was perceived
Yeah.
as a sin, and everything was a sin, and so until I understood that God doesn't make you hungry for bread to feed you with a stone. So until I understood that if I had a desire that it was placed in me and it was there to serve Him, and growing up the way I did, I thought that if I would, just do the things that the church was telling me to do, that I would be missing out.
Yeah.
And that's not the reality. Is the moment I decided to just praise the Lord and work, to spread the gospel in any way I can with the abilities He has given me, then things started to happen. And now I've been on the high peak of a roller coaster
Yeah.
ride, because he has changed the perception I had. And now serving Him is not a task. It's just something that I do out of love and out of a strong desire to do it because
Yeah.
of what I've understood over the years about a relationship, a personal, intimate relationship that we have with the Lord. I think we're all called to have that. And I think religion has done a great job to. And again, I'm not talking to every church because,
Different.
everyone has a different thing. But I think in general, the church has given God a bad name.
Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate.
Okay. Speaking of bad names, because I was going to ask this question a little later, what are your thoughts on sometimes artists that claim to be Christian artists, but then they do certain things that bring reproach on other artists? Artists such as Kanye West sometimes. He came out saying he's a Christian artist, but it looked like he kind of backslid now. And I see like on the social media, they're like, see, oh, he's a hypocrite, just like the rest of them sometimes, because people always have different varying ideas. So what are your thoughts on sometimes the Christian music given a bad name as well? What do you say about people who try to use an artist to label everybody else the same?
Yeah. Well, we know that we live in a very deceitful time. So we are being deceived. So it's hard to know what the truth is today. So, and I can never really judge an artist for what they're doing because I've been there.
Yeah.
I've always been a Christian, and I've always wrote in the albums I've done, even the French album in country music, that I proclaim my faith in Jesus Christ. But yet, it's a slow walk. So it's hard to point fingers at anything. You just pray that God reveals. Without our walk with Christ, intimate relationship means that things have got to be revealed to you, not from people, but from
Yeah.
God directly. I come from this point, I always tell my friends, Joseph, Joseph in the Bible.
That's my
Uh,
dad's name too.
yes, he doesn't. Well, Joseph was perceived as a good man,
Yeah.
yet he was still going to leave Mary until the angel showed up and revealed to him, intimate things about what happened. So
Yeah.
I think it's the same for us. I think things have got to be revealed to us on an intimate and personal things. And I think if we seek the Lord, I mean, obviously, if there's some people that are using the Lord um, with the wrong intentions, and so that's for them to answer to that. You
Yeah.
know, the scariest verse in the Bible in Matthew, when Jesus says, "Go away, I never knew you." When
Yeah.
he's talking to who? He's talking to Christians. He's talking to the Christians who have said, "Oh, what do you mean? We've prayed in your name. We've made miracles in your name." He said, "I don't know you." So I just pray myself for me and my family that it's so easy to get swayed in a world that is so fast paced
Yeah.
that we remain, that I don't get to deceive. My prayer is that I don't deceive myself. A friend of mine, the pastor, she always says that I pray that I don't allow myself to deceive myself.
Yeah.
And so
Just say that you
that's
can't
a
lie to
good
yourself.
that's a good prayer to pray because we live in a time of great deception, and meaning there's a lot of deceit out there. There's a lot of lies. There's a lot of false truth. And so I don't know if it answers your question, but
No, it's
this is,
just for people who think that and all when they hear your explanation, they might look at it differently when they see an artist or might be confused. That's why I
yeah,
asked. Yeah.
yeah. It's a walk. It's a journey. I think that until we are here on earth to breathe, that means God is not done with us. But the good news is the Holy Spirit is Jesus has said the Holy Spirit will finish what it started in all of us. So that's very hopeful. So because we are, submission is a minute to minute decision,
Yeah.
and it's easy to skip the minute once in a while.
Yeah, I understand that. So while you were going through your journey, because I've asked this with other artists, Christian artists, did you encounter any situations that we always hear rumors about Hollywood? And we see recently with the news with Diddy, with Hollywood parties and things of that nature. Did you encounter things like that? And then did that affect your viewpoint on spirituality? Because sometimes it's a clash where people don't really know how deep things could get on a spiritual side, like a battle when you're trying to get into entertainment.
Well, it is a battle. Hollywood is, we know just the wrestling that happened before the release of Sound of Freedom. The movie Sound of Freedom. I mean, it was owned by Disney. Disney put it on the shelves for many years, and every Netflix, every studio refused to distribute the movie, The Sound of Freedom. Do you remember that last year?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a movie about sex trafficking.
yeah,
And so we see it was hard, but then God had a plan for the movie and it came out. It actually came out number one on the box office, beating two Disney movies. So it was
yeah,
like, so it was great for us to see that. So there is conflict. But for us, my wife and I, we're busy in sharing the word. And I don't even have cable at home. I mean, I have cable, I have the internet, but we don't watch television. We watch the old shows. So we don't get involved in news at all
Yeah,
because being in the world of as a filmmaker as well, and I'm an editor, it's so easy to see how we can manipulate anything
yeah,
through editing. And I can, there's programs out there that can take your voice and your face and make you say whatever they want to say.
yeah. The
So
AI
this
is getting very,
and then you'd look at this and say, whoa, I never said that. Yeah,
yeah,
well, it sounds like me. So they can do all these things. So we disconnect because what I realized, after COVID, it was the news was so paralyzing and the enemy is using the fear tactic with everything. So
yeah,
so I disconnected at that time because it was too paralyzing. And paralyzing means that you're not doing anything for what you're called to do, which is we're called to share the gospel. We share through our work, and my field is the entertainment. So,
yeah,
mm, so that's what I want to do. This past weekend, it was great. We were at the ICVM, which is the 50th anniversary of the ICVM, which is the oldest Christian film festival international, and we were there,
yeah,
and and to see all your peers that are filmmakers, a lot of people from Disney now that are working in the animation they've left the Disneys and they come because a lot of people are tired of all that crap. And
yeah,
there's no word to say, there's no other way to say it.
yeah,
And I think people are waking up. But it was great to be among people that have the same mission. And so we can, it's encouraging. We need that kind of encouragement for
yeah.
sure.
So I know you're doing your part with some of your films. Could you tell us some of your films and the current one that you're working on?
Well, yeah, my wife and I did a funny musical for Christmas called The True Miracle of Christmas.
Yeah,
And it's on Amazon Prime right now. So we translated this year to French and Spanish. And so it actually it's on Prime now if you go to Amazon. I'm not sure if it's in Canada. I think it'll be in Canada in December.
December.
Uh, yeah.
It's not-
Yeah. So and then we're working on a new film also called Undone. And hold on a second.
Yes.
So the movie Undone is about the life of a pastor who had a really hard life. I mean, she was abused as a child at the age of 5,
Yeah.
and then by a church member, uh,
Oh,
and then was bullied in school. Ended up marrying a guy at 17 that abused her to the point that he sent her to the ER 7 times, and to the point that she couldn't have children.
yeah.
But her life, we're doing a story on her life because it's not about just we all have our sad story. This one was a really sad story, but we
Yeah.
all have our own drama at times, and because that's what the world creates. But what is interesting about that movie, that's why it's called Undone, is her life was not done, because God got a hold of her and transformed her life, because she was in the world of drug, alcohol, and prostitution, and she ran as a prostitute for 10 years, and then on a dare, she walked into church during some of her old friends that was getting baptized, and she had one of those Paul experience where she got snapped to where she was in a way, like, what am I doing here? And her life started getting restored through the promise of God, and she eventually opened a ministry to help women that have been abused. And her ministry grew worldwide. At one point online, they opened over 300 churches in the Middle East,
Yeah.
and and then she ended up adopting a kid that was found in the street that was a first cousin. And her story is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And then so yeah, you guys can check the video, the trailer of the movie. If you go to my YouTube channel, look up for Undone movie trailer from Steph Carse, and
Yeah.
then you can see that. And but yeah, that's quite a story. That's what I'm working on this year.
Okay.
Plus another album.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, so what's going on with your music lately?
Well, we released a single called Almighty.
Yeah.
And it's a worship song. And the video I wanted to show, somebody who who wrestles with finding out that she just got diagnosed with cancer. And then, it was pretty amazing to see the transformation that happens to her, and she gets a healing miracle. Not everybody gets a healing miracle, but in the story, she does.
Yeah.
And so the video has been my fastest growing video on YouTube. We're over almost 700,000 views in less than 2 months. So I'm very excited to see the reaction of that, because it wasn't to glorify myself, it was to glorify the Lord.
Yeah.
And I love the outcome of it. So I'm working on a follow-up now. In fact, after this, I'm heading to the studio.
Yeah. Keeping busy.
Yes.
Yeah. So you also do some work against bullying. Could you tell us, like, if someone needs help, what they can do to contact you?
Yes. Well, we have a nonprofit organization called Why I Count. And Y spells with a Y, just the letter Y,
Yeah.
icount.org. I don't know if you're going to show it.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. So this is something I opened in 2016 after reading online a letter of a young boy that was 14 that had written a letter before he committed suicide due to bullying.
Yeah.
So that brought me back to my childhood, because I was bullied as a kid, because I was very skinny, very introverted as an artist. And as I mentioned before, our home was a foster home for mentally challenged kids. So
Yeah.
you can imagine the name calling in school. So, but I never heard of people committed suicide in my days because of bullying. And now it's the leading cause of suicide for young children under 14. So
Oh,
I just, my heart was so broken. And so what can I
yeah.
do? We're not going to eradicate bullying, because bullies have been there since the beginning of time. But if what I understood through my research is there's such a rub of identity today because of social media, because of, bullying today. When I was a kid, it was just, I was involved in a fight with 2 or 3 guys, but that was the end of it. But today with this, it's coming back home to follow you. And then the peer pressure for these kids is tremendous, because, unlike my days where 2 or 3 girls and boys were involved, today the whole school knows about it. So the peer pressure is tremendous. And kids, science have demonstrated maybe not as recent, but I discovered it in 2016, that the frontal part of the brain, the part that makes decisions, the part that can rationalize, is not formed until the age of 22, 23, 24, sometimes 25. And so that means that they can't reason with this. I mean, every decision they make is based on emotion. So if the peer pressure is so high and they're coming home and they don't have, because parents are busier today than they were in my days, and a lot of them are separated today. So kids are coming on their own a lot of times after school with their device, where it's the bullying follows them home. So emotionally, they can't cope with it. So what we did is we have a series called A Secret Hero, and it's a series of 8 episodes where we can we teach not just the kids but the parents how to help them build self-worth, self-esteem. And because bullying, you're not going to change that, but if you can build self-worth and self-esteem, then if you know who you are, the words that somebody would say to you won't have any power. You see, because we always say that we believe, we end up, we become what we believe, but oftentimes we end up believing what we are told repeatedly and what we accept as truth. But if you don't accept as truth, then there's no power to it. So the internal chatting that's happening in the kid's mind, it's really important that we help monitor that through making sure that they understand who they are and value. They were so amazingly created. The human body is, it takes the largest computer in 2017, I could tell you, I don't know if it's changed today, but it took 40 minutes for the largest computer in the world to do what your brain can do in 1 second. So the heart beats 100,000 times a day. And it travels over 60,000 miles every day, pushes blood through 60,000 miles of blood vessels every day. Well, 60,000 miles is like going around the earth 2.5 times every day. So the complexity of what's going on inside of us is so incredible that if once we get a hold of that, it's building some sort of self-worth and self-esteem. And I think that's what the program is about. That's why we call it Why I Count, Why I Matter.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have to help the youth. 'Cause as you said, they got different things they have to deal with than what was happening in 80s and 90s, even early 2000s.
Yeah, it's a whole different animal, right?
Yeah. So, is there anything else you would like people to know about yourself or any?
No, I mean, you can go to stephcarse.com and see what we do. And if you believe in the mission of Why I Count, I urge people to support what we do because we produce these videos in order to help not just the kids, but the parents cope with what's happening to their children. So, I urge people to check it out and see if they can get some resources out of it.
Okay. Well, thanks for the interview. It
Well,
was,
you're welcome. Thank you. Thank
uh,
you. Thank you so much, man.
yeah, it hit some strong points, knowledgeable for people to take.
Well, I hope so. Well, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for doing what you're
God
doing.
bless you too.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too.